In June 1876, deep in the heart of Montana, a battle raged that would become one of the most infamous moments in American history. It was a clash of cultures, a fight for survival, and a tragic end for one man's relentless ambition. This is the story of Custer's last stand at the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Welcome to History Corner.
The journey to Little Bighorn began long before that fateful day. It started with a man driven by ambition and a nation hungry for expansion. George Armstrong Custer was a Civil War hero known for his boldness and reckless bravery, but by the 1870s, his glory days seemed behind him. Desperate to reclaim his fame, he set his sights on the West. The U.S. government was determined to settle the West, pushing Native American tribes onto reservations. But the discovery of gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota would escalate tensions to a breaking point. The Black Hills were sacred to the Lakota people. Yet when gold was found, settlers poured in, violating treaties and sparking conflict. The Great Sioux War of 1876 began as the U.S. Army attempted to force native tribes onto reservations. But the Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho resisted, led by chiefs like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. Custer's rise to fame was marked by both military success and controversy. During the Civil War, he earned a reputation for fearlessness, but his career was also plagued by insubordination and a thirst for glory. In 1867, Custer faced a court-martial for abandoning his post without orders. He had left his troops to visit his wife, an action that led to his temporary suspension from the army. Despite this setback, he was reinstated due to his undeniable battlefield prowess. His tendency to disobey orders continued to shape his career. In 1868, he led a controversial attack on a Cheyenne village at Washita River, a move criticized for its brutality and disregard for protocol. The Battle of Washita River took place on November 27, 1868. Custer, leading the 7th Cavalry, launched a surprise attack on a Cheyenne village led by Chief Black Kettle. The village had been promised safety by the U.S. government, but Custer saw an opportunity to strike a decisive blow. The attack was brutal. Custer's men killed dozens of Cheyenne, including women and children. They burned the village to the ground and destroyed the tribe's winter supplies, leaving the survivors to face the harsh winter with nothing. The attack at Washita River was controversial. Some viewed it as a necessary military action in the ongoing conflict between settlers and native tribes. Others condemned it as a massacre. For Custer, it solidified his reputation as a ruthless and ambitious leader, willing to do whatever it took to achieve victory. In June 1876, General Alfred Terry devised a plan to trap the Native American forces led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse by coordinating with Colonel John Gibbon's column. Custer's role was to advance along the Rosebud River and converge with Terry and Gibbon to surround the native encampment. It was stressed to Custer he was not to act on his own but to wait for Terry. However, Custer chose to disobey his orders and deviate from the plan. He pushed his troops ahead at a faster pace and declined the offer of additional reinforcements and Gatling guns, fearing they would slow him down. Custer's decision to advance without waiting for Terry's main force stemmed from a combination of arrogance, ambition, and a desire for personal glory. He feared that if he delayed, others would claim the victory he sought for himself. As Custer approached the Little Bighorn Valley, he divided his command into 3 battalions. He sent Captain Frederick Benteen to scout to the south and prevent any native forces from escaping in that direction. Major Marcus Reno was ordered to launch a direct assault on the southern end of the encampment. Meanwhile, Custer took the remaining 5 companies and moved along the ridges to attack from the north. Custer's relationship with Captain Frederick Benteen was strained long before the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Tensions between the 2 officers reportedly began during the American Civil War and persisted throughout their time in the 7th Cavalry. Benteen, a seasoned officer known for his professionalism and discipline, often found Custer's leadership style reckless and self-serving. Benteen believed that Custer prioritized his own fame and career advancement over the well-being of his men. Benteen openly criticized Custer's decisions, especially after the controversial Washita massacre. Joel Elliott, a captain in the 7th Cavalry, was known for his bravery and loyalty to his men, led a small group of men to pursue fleeing native warriors without informing Custer of his intentions. Elliott's detachment was overwhelmed and killed by Cheyenne reinforcements. When Custer became aware that Elliott and his men were missing, he chose to withdraw the regiment instead of searching for them. Custer's decision to abandon Elliott sparked outrage within the ranks and led to enduring resentment. Captain Frederick Benteen was particularly incensed by Custer's handling of the Elliott situation. Benteen believed that Custer had acted selfishly, prioritizing his own safety and reputation over the lives of his men. He viewed Custer's refusal to search for Elliott as a betrayal of military duty and a stain on Custer's leadership. Major Marcus Reno was a seasoned officer, but his character and leadership style have been the subject of much debate. Known for his cautious nature, Reno was often seen as hesitant and unsure under pressure. His personal struggles, including issues with alcohol, affected his reputation. During the Battle of the Little Bighorn, Reno led a charge on the southern end of the native encampment, but quickly faltered when faced with stiff resistance. His decision to retreat into the woods and later take a defensive position on the bluffs has been both criticized and defended by historians. Some argue that his retreat saved lives by preventing a complete massacre of his men, while others see it as a sign of cowardice. Reno's relationship with Custer was complicated. While not as openly antagonistic as Benteen, Reno was not particularly loyal to Custer either. He followed orders but often questioned Custer's judgment. His actions at Little Bighorn have been scrutinized in the aftermath, and he faced a court of inquiry in 1879 to defend his conduct during the battle. The court ultimately exonerated him, but his reputation never fully recovered. Meanwhile, thousands of native warriors had gathered near the Little Bighorn River. They were united by a shared vision, a prophecy from Sitting Bull that foretold a great victory over the U.S. Army. Sitting Bull's vision inspired warriors to stand their ground. Crazy Horse, a fierce and tactical leader, would play a pivotal role in the battle to come. On the morning of June 25, 1876, Custer and his men approached the native encampment. Custer's first mistake was underestimating the size of the native forces. He believed he was facing a few hundred warriors. In reality, there were thousands. As the battle began, Custer's men were quickly overwhelmed. The initial skirmishes turned into a full-scale assault by the combined native forces. Custer and his men made their final stand on a hilltop. Surrounded and outnumbered, they fought to the last man. News of Custer's defeat shocked the nation. At Little Bighorn, Benteen's disdain for Custer may have influenced his actions. When he received Custer's note to "come on," Benteen did not rush to Custer's aid. Instead, he ensured his men and pack trains were in good order before proceeding. By the time Benteen and Reno consolidated their forces on the bluffs, Custer and his men were already overwhelmed and annihilated. The orders given to Benteen and Reno have been heavily criticized. Custer's decision to split his forces in the face of a vastly superior enemy force defied basic military principles. Furthermore, his instructions were vague and open to interpretation. Custer's infamous final message to Benteen was, "Benteen, come on, big village, be quick, bring packs, P.S., bring packs." This cryptic note provided little clarity on the urgency of the situation or the nature of the battle Custer had engaged in. The U.S. government responded with increased military campaigns, determined to crush native resistance. Over time, Custer's image was transformed into a symbol of heroism and martyrdom. But the truth was far more complex. In the immediate aftermath of Little Bighorn, Custer was hailed as a national hero, a martyr who died bravely for his country. His widow, Elizabeth Custer, worked tirelessly to preserve and promote this image through lectures and books. For decades, Custer was celebrated as a fearless leader, but as time passed, historians began to re-examine his actions. By the mid-20th century, Custer's image had shifted dramatically. He came to be seen by many as reckless, power-hungry, and indifferent to the lives of both his men and the native people he fought against. Today, Custer's legacy is a subject of debate. Was he a hero or a villain? A brilliant tactician or a bloodthirsty, power-hungry fool blinded by ambition? One thing is certain. The Battle of the Little Bighorn was a tactical disaster for the U.S. Army. Out of approximately 600 soldiers in the 7th Cavalry, 268 men were killed, including Custer and his entire battalion of 210 soldiers. Another 55 soldiers were wounded, many of them severely. Most of the casualties occurred within Custer's detachment, which was completely annihilated. On the Native American side, casualty estimates are less clear. Most sources suggest that between 30 and 100 warriors were killed, with another 50 to 160 wounded. The exact numbers are uncertain, as the victorious native forces did not keep detailed records, and casualties were spread across several tribes, including the Lakota, Sioux, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho. The Battle of Little Bighorn remains one of the most iconic and controversial events in American history. It symbolizes the clash of two worlds, one driven by expansion, the other fighting for survival. Was this battle the last stand of native resistance or a fleeting victory in an ongoing struggle for sovereignty? The legacy of Little Bighorn continues to echo through history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from history. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you next time.